7 talking about title and title insurance. Whether you're a buyer, a seller, a real estate agent, or the broker of your office, you should know how title works and what title does and the chain of title and all the information that you need in the principles book. So we are in the principles book that I've always coming through, which is this one by Walt Huber, W-A-L-T, Huber, H-U-B-E-R, and he is at the Education Textbook Company. If you have any questions, I'm sure you'll find it. The phone number is 626-339-7733, and a shout out to them because they have some of the easiest real estate books for you to follow along. Whether you're a buyer, a seller, or a real estate agent, you should know what you need to know about title insurance. So we're starting on page 200, and we're talking about the chain of title. So the chain of title is the recorded history, it's public history of your home or the home that you're buying or selling. And every recorded change of ownership and or claim of ownership on a property is to be in the abstract of title. Abstract of title is the written summary of the documents in the chain of title. Whenever you're working with a buyer or you are the buyer, you have to understand that the title insurance policy needs to be a clear title. Because when you transfer property, you want to make sure that you have a clear title so that when you go ahead and you go to sell your property, you're able to sell the property and go on to the next. Okay, so if one person sells a property to another person, a recorded public history of a specific property is called the chain of title. Chain of title is in your California real estate exam, and I bet you any amount of money it's in some other different states, because the chain of title is really important. You have to make sure that you're really buying the property from the person who owns it, and you have to make sure that they have a fee simple title, because they might have a life estate, and you have to understand that life estates is only based on the person's life, so they can't sell it to you. They can lease it to you, but they can't sell it to you. So that's why it's so important to have a chain of title. And the chain of title is, what happens is the title company reviews the chain of title. The written summary of the documents in the chain of title is called an abstract of title. So those are words that you have to know in real estate and if you're buying a property. Okay, so this is the public record of everything that's happening on that property. The public record includes files at the county recorder's office, various tax agencies. So if you have a tax lien because you didn't pay the property taxes, that's going to show on the chain of title. Federal court clerk and the Secretary of State. All such information about people and their real property is stored in the computers within a grantor-grantee index. So the grantor, OR, is the owner of the property, and when they sell it, the person receiving it is the grantee. Just in this one paragraph alone, oh my gosh, that's like so much information that you need to know about title. The grantor, the grantee, the chain of title, the abstract of title, and your title officer. So the place that they refer to as where all the stored information is called the title plant. Now, the title plant doesn't usually show up on your test or anything that you have to know. So they have all different types of title policies, and it says how non-residential co-insurance works. So there's a chart in the book on page 201. I'm not going to go over the chart because you don't have to know it for the state exam or to buy or sell property. Title insurance has 4 functions. That's what it says, 4. Title insurance companies are regulated by the California Insurance Commissioner. Fee schedules must be available to the general public upon request. So when you ask a title company for their fee schedule, it's approved by the insurance commissioner, and their schedules are all pretty much the same. There are some discount title insurance policies, but they have to do it in a certain way that it's approved by the insurance commissioner. Title insurance insures a lender and the property owner for an additional fee against losses that result in an imperfect title. Title insurance companies examine the records documenting the chain of title. Those are important words, chain of title. They review any risks that might not be found in public records. They interpret legally all the information on the title that shows, and they help the seller correct any defects and ensure marketable title. Those are words you need to know, marketable title. The reason you want to make sure that when you buy a property, it has marketable title, so that down the road, maybe 2, 3, 5, 20 years from now when you sell the home, You have marketable title. You're able to sell it because you're on title. I know that there's people that have title that's not marketable, and then they can't insure it. If you can't insure it, then you can't get a loan on it. And then who wants to buy a home that doesn't have marketable title, right? So you have to make sure you have marketable title. So where did I see that? It's really hard because I'm reading the book and then telling you guys more information. So if there's any problems with the title, usually the escrow company and the title company work together with the buyer or the seller to figure out what's wrong. Usually in a buyer-seller situation, it's going to be the seller that has to work on it, because the buyer's just like, hey, if you can't get a clear title, I'll go find me a house that has a clear title, right? So the seller's going to have to clean up the title and make sure it's okay. The title insurance company is only paid once, unlike auto, or they're only paid once. So it's not like fire insurance or car insurance where you have to pay it every month all the time. So title insurance policy is paid at the time of closing. It's a non-reoccurring closing cost. So you're going to pay for you're going to usually pay a premium, and then at the end of the year, with the title insurance, you're going to pay that premium through escrow. It's non-reoccurring. But with homeowners insurance, you're going to be paying that monthly all the time, unless you pay it in one lump sum. So title insurance is different. So the four most important functions of title insurance are the search of the title's records. They examine anything that could be off-record risk. They interpret legal documents of record, and they insure against economic loss. So preliminary title report. So I always talk about ordering the preliminary title report. The preliminary title report, I like to order before I go on my appointment with the sellers. Because when you're going on an appointment, you're going to someone's home and you're going to sit down with them and talk about selling their home. You want to make sure they own the home. How do you know they're not renters or they're somebody that has a life estate? So what you can do is go to the title company and you can say, hey, I'm going on this listing. I want to verify they're the owners. They might not, depending on the title company you're working with, give you a full preliminary title. They'll give you information on it so that you know that you're working with the right people. Give you some basic information. And with that said, you're going to want that preliminary title report because you're going to have to order it anyways. So most of the time when I go on a listing appointment, the listing appointments I go on to are usually referrals, and I don't go on just like somebody calling out of the blue. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll sit down and work with anybody that wants to work about real estate because I'm addicted to real estate. But for the most part, most of my people are referrals. So because they're referrals, they know I'm going to pull their preliminary title report. I know I'm getting the listing. So a lot of people talk about having the perfect listing presentation. You know what? Make it basic. Make it basic. Make it smooth. Make it easy for them to understand. And you're going to get the listing. I'm never worried about getting my listings. So that's why I said most of the time they're referrals, because I'm going to their house. I already had the preliminary title report ordered. I already know if there's any easements or problems on the property. For instance, once I had this listing in Escondido, and I pulled up the report and it said it had a water company easement. And I'm like, okay, so how bad is it? And there's this big area of land that said this is the easement. And I'm like, okay. So when I got to their home, I do what I do every single time I do a listing appointment. Hi, I'm Sharon. I'm here for our appointment. Can we sit at the kitchen table or the dining table? Of course, I want to go to the dining table. I'm going to go to the dining table. I'm going to put my stuff down, and then I'm going to ask the homeowner to give me a tour of their property. And that's when I'm going to ask things about the property that are pertinent. Like I hear, I understand from my research you have an easement. Can you show me where that's at? And that particular house in Escondido had a big water tank under their property. Anyway, going on page 201, preliminary title report. This is the first thing you ordered. And the first step in title search for the escrow officer, so the person working on your file is called an escrow officer, is to order the preliminary title report. After the buyer or the borrower completes a statement of information, a title search can begin. The preliminary title report is a report showing the condition of the title before the sale or the loan transaction. So I'm going to show it to you. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it. This is one of the documents. See how all those lines are there and it looks kind of scary? This is what the buyer receives from escrow, and it's called a statement of information. It looks way scarier than it is. So it's on page 202. It looks like a normal statement of information. And that statement of information is asking, who you are, who you were married to, where you were born, where you worked, and where you lived for the last 10 years. They're making sure that, like, my name's Sharon Butler, and there's like 500,000. No, there's like, last I checked, when I said on Facebook, all Sharon Butlers come in and make yourself known. And 886 of them joined me. So in order to make sure you are the person that's the right person buying the home, the statement of information is going to help the title company verify who you are. So that's the first step that the buyers get. So when you open escrow, the escrow company is going to send you a package. It's probably going to be a PDF. So escrow will send the seller a package, the buyer a package, and it will send both real estate broker sides a package for all the paperwork that needs to be filled out. You need to fill that out in a timely fashion, because on the buyer side, what they're going to ask you is, how do you want to hold vesting? And that's what we'll talk about next time. I'm going to try to keep these short and sweet so you can get a little bit at a time and learn as much as you can. And next time, we're going to talk about vesting and how you should hold title. Remember, I'm a broker. I'm not an attorney, but I am going to show you what people do on their title and what you should and shouldn't do to get yourself not into trouble or out of trouble, right? Because if you put your title in one way, it may be a problem versus another way. And we'll talk about that. So have a great rest of your day, and I'll come back and talk about title vesting. Have a great afternoon.